Hello and welcome to this edition of the ABA Law Student Spotlight, highlighting the section's young lawyer and law student members. My name is Chinwe Chukwuogo, and I'm a member of the ABA Antitrust Law Section's Diversity.Advanced Initiative. With me today is Rita Xia, a law student ambassador to the section and also a member of the Diversity.Advanced Initiative. Rita is also currently a law clerk to FTC Chair Slaughter, was the winner of the Fall Forum Writing Competition, and recently won Best Oralist and Best Brief at the Global Antitrust Institute Moot Court Competition. Hi, Rita.
Hi, Titi. How are you?
I'm good. Could you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Of course. So like you said, I am currently a 3L at Indiana University Maurer School of Law, so about 2 months away from graduation. I am originally from the Washington, D.C. area, and I'm very excited to go back there after graduation. And my interest in antitrust law really stems from my IP background, and that's so. Once I start getting interested in antitrust law, I looked for organizations that I could get involved in. And that's really how I became a part of ABA Antitrust. And I'm really grateful for all the mentors I've met in the section and all the opportunities I've had to work on both substance law and leadership projects, which includes the diversity and inclusion initiatives run by the Diversity.Advanced.
Well, so my next question was going to be how you got interested in antitrust law, and you kind of spoke to that already, that it stems from your IP background. Could you tell us a little bit more about that?
Sure. So I actually don't have a science background. I was really interested in copyright and trademark law. But I took this class in my 2L year called IP Antitrust. And the class covers some of the landmark cases, such as Aspen Hill. And so from that class, it really kind of piqued my interest how both areas of law overlap and how deeply really courts look into a specific industry, the key actors, and if conduct affects just rivals themselves or affects consumers. And so I really just try to find any opportunities I can. And at my law school, we don't have a lot of antitrust course offerings. So I kind of had to step outside of the school environment and try to find either reading materials or try to, and so for example, in the ABA antitrust section, I got to write on some newsletter articles for the IP committee. So all those kind of combined really helped me to understand this area of law a little bit better. And so by the time 3L kind of rode around, I was pretty sure that I wanted to pursue this area for my legal practice.
Cool. And what do you think have been some of the most or more interesting developments in this area that you're interested in, kind of the intersection of IP and antitrust?
Sure. So I think the Qualcomm case last year is kind of, I'm sure everyone in the community kind of is aware of. So, similar cases like that where a company obviously has contributed quite a lot to the IP development in terms of being the standard setting company, but then we kind of have to look at the bigger picture of how much. So patenting itself is already kind of a monopoly power given to this company. So to what extent can that power be used in other areas? How much freedom or power does the company have in terms of influencing other factors in their line of business? I think those are very interesting questions. So I just don't want to comment too much on, whether I agree with the Ninth Circuit opinion, but I think it's just a lot of complicated questions. And I think in the tech area too, we talk a lot about we want innovation, but we also want consumer welfare. And so how to balance those two, and are those two always consistent with each other? I think it's a lot of big questions. And with kind of this new administration, I think big tech is on the forefront of how government enforcement may change or may reform. And then how even public sentiment towards big tech can evolve over time.
And so you also mentioned that you were prompted to kind of look outside of your law school to get involved and to learn more about antitrust. So how did you first get involved with the ABA?
This was really just through Google search. I think I had heard from my professor that ABA Antitrust is a very active section. So I looked it up and came across the Law Student Ambassador program page. And I thought it doesn't hurt to try. So I reached out to Svalana, who is in charge of the program. And she's just been a very great mentor, both personally to me and in the program. And so I was added to the mail list, and the program does a very good job. I think they send weekly updates on events that may be interesting to law students, and also different opportunities. So kind of the writing opportunity I mentioned earlier for newsletters. I also got involved diversity events through that. Over last summer, there were a lot of race related protests around the country, and both ABA and Antitrust Section released statements on that. And I think Diversity Events at the time was looking for any volunteers to help out with programs. So I reached out to Deanna Kalala, who's one of the co-chairs of Diversity Events. So essentially my more in-depth involvement in the section all kind of came from opportunities I was made aware through the Law Student Ambassador program.
Okay. And so you're already like very involved in antitrust as a student, but thinking about life and your career after law school, what would be your ideal antitrust career?
Well, actually, I do have I am already starting in a law firm. Well, I will be starting a law firm in the fall after the bar exam in DC, working on mostly antitrust litigation, but a little bit of transactional work too. So for me, that is a dream come true. I was a little concerned during the job search process. I understand that I've heard that as a first year associate, you may not get to work on exclusively antitrust cases. It could be more civil or complex litigation with some antitrust matters. So I feel very lucky and grateful that I get to work on what I'm passionate about right out of law school. And I think at least for the next several years, this is exactly where I want to be, working on kind of the timely matters, big litigation, and then just really try to develop my expertise.
Yeah, that's awesome. And you say you're lucky, but I think you worked for it.
Thank you.
So why do you think law students should get involved with the antitrust law section?
I have well, like I said earlier, I personally have benefited from all the opportunities and all the mentors I've met. So kind of looking back on my job search process, networking has really been a key part. And so for law students, especially those who don't work in a city that don't go to school in a city where they want to eventually work in, I think there is that geographic barrier. And then these days with COVID, you may not even get to travel to the city to network with people. So this ABA antitrust section becomes a large community of antitrust attorneys all over the country, even all over the world. And most attorneys I talk to, actually all the attorneys I've talked to in the section, have been very willing to just schedule a virtual coffee with me. And that is so crucial, because from that, they can give you really good directions on what other employers to talk with if they have an opportunity at their workplace. And so I think if a law student is interested in this area of law, this is really the place you want to be, to get access to as many practitioners as you can, both in the government and in private sector. And so I think it just provides a lot of opportunities that many schools may not have.
Yeah. And what advice would you give to law students interested in antitrust law that you wish you had known?
What I wish I had known, I think fairly early in my interest in antitrust, I because of my interest in IP, I was mostly focusing on the tech area. But But these days, I've actually subscribed to newsletters from various committees, healthcare, international enforcement, a bunch of things. And I think with antitrust, it's while tech is a very hot sector right now, antitrust law covers so many different areas. And as someone who wants to practice in antitrust eventually or very soon, I think it's important to be attuned to what's going on in the industry, not just the tech sector. So, and especially for me, that because we don't have a lot of antitrust course offerings, this is going to be my day-to-day kind of resource for antitrust related news. And so I've kind of made a conscious effort to go beyond just the tech sector that I've had a very strong interest in.
So you think it's important to kind of think broadly about the industries that touch on antitrust law? Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
That makes sense. Well, Rita, thank you so much for making time to meet with me today and
Thank you.
to share your experiences with us.
Thank you so much. Have a great day.